Mariupol, eastern Ukraine. Russia refocuses the might of its military in search of some kind of victory in the wider Donbass. Ground zero, the massive Azovstal steelworks. Russia's troops have been searching for Ukrainian forces. Demands they surrender by mid-afternoon came and went, with reports that just a handful had turned themselves in. And as Russian firepower rained across the Donbass, claiming over 1,000 targets, officials began a desperate last effort to evacuate civilians from Mariupol through humanitarian corridors to Zaporizhia, 150 miles northwest. A Ukrainian commander in the steelworks posted a video last night warning this might be goodbye.
Можливо, залишились лічні дні або години. Ми звертаємось до світових лідерів допомогти нам. Ми звертаємось з проханням застосувати до нас процедуру екстракшн та вивести нас на територію третьої держави. Маріупольський гарнізон військових, з нами більше ніж 500 поранених бійців та сотні цивільних осіб, серед яких є жінки та діти. Ми просимо надати нам безпеку на території третьої держави.
President Zelensky met the European Council President Charles Michel in Kyiv and said Mariupol was still under siege.
Для того, щоб розблокувати Маріуполь,
there are two ways to unblock Mariupol. The first one is serious, heavy armed help that our troops are counting on. At the moment, we don't have enough of this hardware. The second way is diplomatic. Russia doesn't agree on it yet.
President Putin still insists the war he started was Ukraine's fault. He was meeting young people today at a conference called Russia, the Country of Opportunities.
The tragedy that was happening in Donbass, including the Luhansk People's Republic, forced Russia to start this military operation. First of all, the goal of this operation is to help our people living in Donbass.
Мы стараемся бути не нервными, когда стреляют. У нас тут трясется все.
These people, though, apparently hiding underneath the Azovstal steelworks, Russia claims are either frauds or human shields. The footage was released by Ukraine's Azov Brigade, which had neo-Nazi roots.
Вот я с 3 детьми. Здесь как бы условия не сильно для детей. Ни учеба, никакого развития, питание небольшое.
Russian Army TV has released its own footage, claiming to show innocent civilians. They say rescued from elsewhere in Mariupol. Their state-sanctioned reporter telling Russians their soldiers are willing to evacuate all civilians from the plant. How does this end? Russia's brutal war machine has been beset with technical and logistical problems. Today, they were keen to show off a test for their new intercontinental missile. While outside Mariupol, a convoy of buses waited empty for the remaining few left alive, inside what was once a bustling city of 500,000.
Well, earlier I caught up with the filmmaker turned soldier Oleg Sentsov. I spoke to him a few weeks ago when he was fighting in the forest north of Kyiv. He's now moved to the front line in Donbass, where the Russian offensive is intensifying. I asked him what it has been like since he arrived.
This only bombing, artillery bombing, some rockets and flies and jets, but they trying to move their tanks and their forces.
So are you expecting the bombardment to increase? Are you fearful for what might lie ahead?
We are bombarding now. You will hear it in each 5 minutes. We have bombing attack.
People say, is it worth some concessions by Ukraine that perhaps you think of, surrendering some of the east to Russia in the interest of preventing a bigger war and more casualties? Do you think that that might be what you have to consider?
No. Ukrainian people will never defend by Putin. We will fight for victory. And
you're a filmmaker by trade. We spoke about that last time we talked. Do you personally have the weaponry you feel you need to fight this war now?
Yeah, now I don't have a camera, I only have guns. Now I have new guns, M4. I couldn't show you just in guns rooms.
But do you and your comrades have the weaponry? Do you feel that you're equipped to fight the Russians now in this phase of the war?
We have new Ukrainian equipment, Ukrainian weapon, but it's not so many to fight to win, because we can defend, but we can't attack. We can't attack Mariupol. We can't break this siege of Mariupol because we don't have harsh equipment. We don't have many tanks, many artillery, many flies, many jets.
What do you hear of Mariupol from where you are?
My very close friends, one of the best friends now in Mariupol, he's still living. He typed me and 1 in 3 and 4 days because there no connection, no electric. And when he showed message, I just said, "How are you, bro?" Just type me. I still believe.
Are you fearful yourself? Because last time we spoke, we talked about how you'd just been celebrating the launch of your film and now you're a soldier. Do you feel scared? Do you feel, especially now, the fighting in Donbass, you fear will become much more intense? Do you, on a daily basis, are you frightened?
I'm not afraid now. Today we have just moving by road and was attacked by rockets, by grats. The terrible things, but I don't afraid. You just do your work and go.
Do you feel you're becoming numb to it?
Yeah.
Oleg Sentsov, thank you very much for joining us again.
Thank you.
Well, our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, joins us now from Dnipro in the east. And, Lindsay, we've seen those last fighters in Mariupol holding out despite all the odds. Why are the Ukrainians so determined to hang on in the city when they're so badly outnumbered?
I think Mariupol has become a symbol for both sides. For the Russians, of their determination to conquer, because they didn't manage to do that in Kyiv. Also for the Ukrainians, their determination to resist at all costs. And I think they know that the rest of the country and the world is looking at them. And President Zelensky sees this really as a microcosm of what's going on here. There they are, 1,000 fighters holed up, totally outnumbered, bravely resisting. That's how he sees the entire country. And what is the outside world doing? Yes, sending some weapons, sending support, but not enough. And so that, I think, is one reason that Mariupol has become so important. Another is more practical. As long as they're tying up the Russians fighting in Mariupol, then those Russians can't go and fight elsewhere in the Donbass. So that is a very practical reason. I think all over the country, everybody is looking at Mariupol. I just got a message from a young woman who I met very near the beginning of this war. She had fled from Mariupol. I met her in a bunker here in Dnipro. And she was writing to me about how terrible she feels about the destruction of her city. It's just a wasteland now. And she said, how can I live when my past has died and when my future is unknown? I think a lot of Ukrainians relate to that, and Mariupol is central.
Absolutely. And how does Mariupol fit in this phase of the Russian campaign?
Well, we know that the Russians are determined to capture Mariupol because it links Crimea, which they control, with the parts of Donbass, which they also control. So there's a practical reason that they want to get this city. And this onslaught, which they've been threatening for several weeks now, it's sort of beginning and sort of not. I don't think we're going to see a sort of shock and awe as the Russians storm into the rest of the east of the country. I think what we're going to see is more artillery, maybe airstrikes, although their air force is really not yet properly doing what it was supposed to be doing. They've got 78 battlefield tactical groups ready. But some of those groups are made up of soldiers who were defeated north of Kiev, and they've kind of assembled them with bits of new kit and so on. It's not clear how effective they're going to be as a fighting force. And so the Ukrainians, they feel that they have every chance of resisting in the Donbass as they have in Mariupol. We'll see.
Lindsay, thanks very much.